Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast, where we believe most high net worth individuals and those who help them struggle with clarifying their capital gains tax deferral options. Not having a clear plan is the enemy, and using a proven tax deferral strategy such as the Deferred Sales Trust is the best way to exit your highly appreciated assets so you can create, preserve, and grow more wealth. I'm your co-host, Pearson York, filling in for Brett Swarts. In each episode, I'm joined by some of the best wealth, business, real estate, and leadership individuals in the world to share ideas, deal stories, and inspiration so together we can make complex tax deferral strategies simple and passive income plans achievable. As always, we're streaming on expertcresecrets.com, Capital Gains Tax Solutions YouTube channel, Kingdom Luxury Realty YouTube channel, and the Kingdom Luxury Realty Facebook channel. So go ahead and rate, review, subscribe, hit the like button, notification bell, all that good stuff so you don't miss anything. I'm super excited about our next guest. He is the principal and investor of Space Cravers Consulting. He's been doing real estate for almost 10 years now in New York City. And the dude doesn't say no to opportunities. And so I'm super excited to introduce to you guys Gene Delva. Gene, how you doing, my friend?
Hey, how are you? How's it going? Thank you for
Great,
having
man.
me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So how'd you come to create a company called Space Records or Cravers?
Yeah, well, I came up with the name because when I first moved to Brooklyn, New York, this was the beginning of I guess, maybe renovation is a better way to say it, of Brooklyn, New York. I don't know if you remember during the time where, Bed-Stuy, Crown Heights, and even Williamsburg, these were the times where investors were coming in, buying up properties, and they were buying them so quick, and the equities of these properties were going up so high so quickly. So at that time I was also involved in helping these investors find properties, and they were so hungry for these properties. So I decided to you know, s- quit the firm that I was working with and started my own business, and I named it the Space Scrapers, just to kind of like
I love it.
just to kind of represent the time of what was going on during that time. That name kind of embodied the what was going on in the air at that time.
I
So I
love
came
it.
up with Space Scrapers.
I love it. I love it. That's awesome. So what mainly real estate is where you started, but I also, we talked before the show that you're doing a bunch of stuff with Bitcoin now. So why don't you tell people that story about how you got started with in Bitcoin?
Well, to be honest with you, when I first heard about Bitcoin, I think it was around 2009. I remember when I was doing real estate on the Upper East Side, they had some real estate companies that had an idea of letting tenants pay their rent with bitcoins, or they would offer agents Bitcoin for fees. And it's funny because back in the days they used to give away bitcoins. And I actually didn't take on that opportunity. I wish I had. you
We all have
know
regrets.
yeah, so how much you gonna give me? 1,000 Bitcoin? Nah, I'm good.
Oh man.
but but fast forward, I actually became I can say maybe the term is serial entrepreneur,
Yep.
because I've learned in business, even when I was doing real estate, I realized the importance in any business is to get the deal done. And I'm also a firm believer that there's a solution to any problem, and before, so the way I got into Bitcoin was that I had a gentleman that reached out to me on LinkedIn, and and pretty much asked me if I had access to Bitcoins because he wanted to buy some, and the fact that I'm the type of person where I don't turn down opportunities, and especially at that time, I was really hungry. Anything you brought to me, I want to solve it. So I said, okay, I can help you find a seller, and I was able to do that. And in the process of doing that, I learned that I didn't have to just put myself in the box and just sell real estate. I could also be maybe a consultant, to any. I can I guess I can assist any business, on a consultant basis. Whatever issues they had, I can help them solve it. And in this particular situation, I had a buyer that wanted to buy a particular amount of Bitcoin that it was kind of impossible to buy that on the exchange because it would have been too expensive. And I was able to connect them with a seller, and then he was able to transact.
Yeah, absolutely. So it sounds like one of your strengths. I believe everyone's given a set of spiritual gifts or strengths or superpowers, whatever you want to call them. Right? It sounds like for you, it's problem solving.
Yeah, yes, definitely. And
Solutions.
to be honest with you, when I first got into business, I had a very hard time, and the traditional way of doing business just wasn't working for me. So yeah, I didn't have success for a long time, and I eventually realized that I wasn't meant to do business like everybody the way everybody else was doing business. I don't know if you remember, like maybe around 2011, even before that, the real estate was booming. Agents were making a lot of money, and just like anybody else, I wanted to make a lot of money, but I actually had I don't know if I guess a spiritual awakening, and I realized um, that and I realized that in order for me to be successful, that there was this wisdom that I didn't have, and I had a gift that I know that I could use, and my gift was patience. I'm a very patient person, and sometimes people may think that it may come across like I'm too nice, but it's not really the case. It's that I'm a very patient person, and also too, the third thing is faith. I believe, if I believe in something, I have the patience to wait and to see it happening.
Love it.
And I think part of it is because, like, on a spiritual basis, I found God. When I say I found God, meaning is I found that that money wasn't really for me like that. Like I
Yeah.
wasn't meant to be. I'm not saying that I'm not meant to be this rich guy, but that's not the goal. It's not, it's not for me to become a millionaire, be, wealthy. The important thing is just to help people and to solve the problem. And the craziest thing is, when I started this business, I wasn't good at it at all. I went to seminars, trying to learn from the latest mogul, real estate mogul, and I did the things that they taught me to do, but it didn't work for me.
Yeah.
And then so when I had that experience, I started seeking wisdom, and I realized that because when I was doing real estate, I used to be in the office all day, picking up, doing making cold
Cold
calling,
calls. Yeah.
and learning scripts, and I learned that the real estate business is a numbers game.
Yep.
You might have 30 clients, four of them may, six of them may end up,
Yeah.
may work out. But then, I started thinking to myself, and at the time, the first experience that I had that opened my mind was that when I was doing real estate, I realized that my parents, they didn't own a house. So I started thinking to myself, I'm like, wow, here I am helping other people buy houses, and my own parents don't even have a house. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna do? I'm gonna find a way to buy my parents a house. And the craziest thing is, in the process of buying my parents a house, I learned so much. And what I've learned is I would have never learned that in any seminar. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You got to get out and do it.
Yeah, or any guru, because and one of the reasons was that I give my dad the money, the deposit and everything like that, but but he had to qualify on his own. And and I was, and I helped him navigate throughout the whole process, and then we eventually bought the house. So that was the first thing.
Yep.
The second thing that happened to me was that I had a friend of mine. The second thing that happened to me was I had an idea. I said, listen, instead of cold callings, going out looking for people, why don't I help the people that's right in front of me buy houses? You know, the people that we discount. Our cousins, our aunties, the next door neighbor, the people that don't even think that they had the ability to buy a house. I said that if I could help those people, then the idea, the idea came to me. So I said, okay. And it's crazy because after that idea came to me, I was going to this church and this pastor introduced me to this lady. She's a teacher. Her income is decent, but not decent enough to be able to buy a house in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And but the pastor said, Gene, I need you to help her buy a house. I know you can do it. So right now, so at that time, I know she's not qualified, but I had to activate my faith. And like I said, I'm a patient person. So I said, you know what? Okay, let me see what I can do with her. And I connected her with a gentleman that I used to work with. He's a good friend of mine, a lender. He's amazing. I said to myself, if there's anybody that can qualify her, it's him, because he knows the ins and out. Some people have a gift for certain things, right?
Yep.
So I felt like he was the guy that could do it, and he was able to find to qualify her, but there was one catch. The seller had to agree to give the buyer $20,000 under the table. I shouldn't say it that way. It's how can I say
The gift back.
A gift back, yeah.
Gift back. Yeah.
And I don't know any seller that will do that for you. With 20 grand, like, and to my surprise, after talking back and forth, explaining them, these people that explaining them my client situation. I said, listen, man, this is a beautiful home. I know these people. I know that they're gonna take care of your house.
Yeah.
I think that they're the perfect fit for this house. Because a lot of times people buy a house, they're emotionally connected to the house.
Oh, for
So
sure.
even when they sell the house, they want to, in the back of their minds, they want to make sure that house is being taken care of. It's almost like a baby.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They invest into it.
They want to see their apple trees grow.
Like that, huh?
I said they want to see their apple trees grow.
Exactly. So they say, okay. And, and I was able to help them. But in the process of helping them buy that house, something else happened. The attorney that we were using, this story is crazy. The attorney that we were using felt like she didn't deserve that house.
Okay.
And his point was that, his point was that she's not qualified, and that I'm the reason why she's qualified. Therefore, he felt like, I guess he had somebody that he knows that he felt like, the house should go to, whatever the case may be. I know this sounds crazy, but at the end of the day, he tried to sabotage the deal, and things wasn't going nowhere. Something told me to read the contract. In the process of reading the contract, I found a few mistakes in the contract. And
that he wrote?
Mistakes that he made, And the funny thing is, that's not my job, but because the other side was so angry about something, but whenever we would ask them what's the issue, they wouldn't tell us. But I took it upon myself to read the contract to see what was wrong, and then I realized all the mistakes. But I didn't make a big deal out of it. I reached out to the seller secretary, and I told her what was going on, and I told her, I asked her, can you please CC me on everything that's going on so I can be on top of it. And by doing so, we were able to close on the house.
Nice.
And so with that situation, I learned that being an agent, a real estate agent, is more than just showing somebody a property and seeing if they like it or not. There's a lot that goes into it that a lot of people don't see.
Right.
And I realized that my job was to help. It was to help those type of people. People that like you have a lot of people that they work hard. They spend they spend their whole life working. Making all type of sacrifices.
Yeah.
But because of their lack of financial intelligence, they never get a chance to buy a house. They never get a chance to do all type of things. But I think they deserve those things, for the simple fact that they're hardworking people. They sacrifice. They're raising their kids, and they stay out of trouble. And they're decent human beings. It just so happened that they don't have the financial intelligence,
Right.
You know what I mean? And then and it's funny because that's when I learned the business, and then I realized, and then so I became I started. The way I do my business is, if you give me 5 people, I'm closing all 5. It's not a numbers game for me. You give me 5 people, all 5 gotta close. And and I go out of my way to do that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, if, for example, like I had a recent deal that I was working on. Yeah, do you mind if I? Do you mind? I don't wanna. Is that okay if I keep going? Or
Yeah. So let me pause you there for a second, because I want to pull some things out. So what I find super fascinating is that through these trials, you're learning how to maneuver and basically like navigate these waters for your clients, and you're working with what it sounds like clients that are not like, I don't want to, they're not layups, for example, right? They're not short.
Yes,
like
exactly.
They're complicated. There's issues, right? They have maybe lower income or not as good a credit, and you have to figure out, okay, how am I going to do that? So what what I kind of want to bring this around to is like, so you've got this company now that you've started. Are you still doing just single family? Are you doing commercial? What else are you doing?
I mean, to be honest with you, because of my experiences, I don't really focus on anything. I for example, I can do multifamily. I can do things that's more than 10, 15. I try to whatever comes my way, I'll work on it if it makes sense for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yes, because of the things that I've been through in the past, I don't really specialize. I specialize on like trying to solve the problem, and in the process of doing that, this is how I'm learning.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
And that's basically it. But mainly, to be honest with you, lately I've been focusing in a lot of multifamily properties.
So let me ask you this question, because this is a big problem for a lot of people. So I'm curious to get your thoughts on it. How are you solving the capital gains tax problem if they go to sell?
You know what? To be honest with you, it's interesting that you reach out to me, because I do feel like your business, in a way, is kind of like remind me of some of the things that I'm doing. You trying to help somebody from you trying to help them save money.
Yeah.
And in return, this is a good thing. 30%, 40%. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And the fact that you have a vehicle that you can create to help somebody defer that. I mean, that's amazing. I mean, 30% might not be nothing to somebody who have a lot of money, but You know, for some people, man, it's a lot of money. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. What are the potential solutions that you have come up with?
I mean, to be honest with you, I feel like your business, I feel like this is something that I can add to to my business as a tool to help my customers, because
Yeah, absolutely.
this is what my business is about. But my business, we're not really um like money driven. The money's gonna come,
Right.
but we're more about solution. We're a solution based type of business. And then we try to educate people. We try to help people in many ways, in any way that we can, in any ways that we can, that we can do so. So in regards to that, I have clients that are, they'll buy one property from me, they'll come back and buy another one, they'll buy multiple properties. So I think they can definitely benefit from that.
So are you
From a
so the,
1031 exchange.
yeah, definitely.
I know about that a little bit more, but as far as like, the deferred tax strategies, I'm kind of green on that subject a little bit, but I think it's interesting. I think I can definitely benefit from that. And I think people can definitely benefit from that. Just
So you want
knowing that you have that option.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get into that a little bit because
Sure.
so just some context, right? So typically, like, so I'm a real estate agent out in Newport Beach, right? And one of the things is out here in California, right? I have super high taxes, like you do in New York, right?
Yeah.
Super high state taxes, super high, um, and wealthy people, right? That have assets that have just super highly appreciated. For example,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a gentleman who bought, two properties on the beach for like 600 grand back in the 90s, and now they're worth 10, 12 million, right? But his basis is like 1.2 million. He's fully depreciated them. I mean, he sells those properties for $12 million, and he's looking at a $4 million+ capital gains tax. It's ridiculous. And so one of the strategies that I've implemented in my business, and this is why I do this podcast and all this kind of stuff, is because it's kind of like the cornerstone of my competitive advantage out here, is the fact that I can defer the tax on all of those properties. And it's not just real estate. I mean, it's commercial real estate. It's residential primary homes. It's Bitcoin. It's stocks. It's businesses. It's uh, anything that's highly appreciated. You
Well,
can use a deferred sales trust for. So
um,
and you can transfer it into any sort of asset classes. So if you know anything about a 1031 exchange, one of the problems is, and this is one of the biggest frustrations with the capital gains tax on the 1031, is that people have 180 days to close on a brand new property, and they only have 45 days to identify that property. And then they
wow.
have to go back into property, like, or some sort of like land. So if you got to sell a building, you're going back and doing a building, and you got to replace the debt. And it's hard to find those deals in a market that's, kind of going up, right? Because you're selling high,
Definitely.
and then 180 days later, you're buying even higher, and your depreciation schedule travels with you. And so one of the beautiful things about the deferred sales trust is that it's like kind agnostic, which means you can sell an asset and then you can put it into stocks, bonds, mutual funds, business. You can put it into real estate when you want, though. You don't have to do it right away. You don't have that 180-day time constraint that you do with a 1031, and you don't have that like kind time constraint. So you get to control the timing of it. So, for example, we had a lady who had bought Bitcoin back in 2009, of course, right? She put 50 grand in. Goes to 50 million. Okay. She is like, all right, I'm gonna liquidate some of it because I need to get out. She couldn't figure out how to get out of it. She didn't sell any of it because she's like, I have this huge tax problem, right? If I sell all this. Plus she would tank the markets and all this kind of stuff, right? Like, so anyway, she ended up doing a deferred sales trust. She deferred about $5 million, and she put that and saved about 1.8 million in capital gains tax liability, and she put all 5 million into the DST, and she took a bunch of that and invested it in her friend's like education business for people in India. Like that was what she wanted to do, start her friend. But now she's got the other, couple million sitting in this trust, right? And now that Bitcoin has dropped to, I mean, I'm sure you know what, like I just saw like 28,000 like today as of May 27, 2022, right? Well, guess what? Now she can buy. She sold at 54,000, right? Which and it went to 65, so people are like freaking out. But now she looks like a genius, right? It's now 28. But guess what? She's positioned to where she can go and buy back in low because she can control the timing of it. And so it's like it's the ability to I don't want to say time the markets because never win when you time the markets, but when you have the ability to kind of control when you're gonna go in and you can sell high, right? And buy low, you can exponentially increase your wealth. And so the fact that it works for all of that is absolutely just amazing. And you guys can learn more about that.
So so basically she could use that same tax deferred money to invest again. And then whatever income she makes, she can pay the taxes.
She could pay the taxes or she doesn't have to. She can let that compound if she doesn't need the revenue.
But let me ask you, is there a time limit for that?
So we structure what happens is you become a lender at that point. So quick mechanics, right? You have a buyer that's gonna buy a piece of property, right? And let's say this guy's gonna buy it for $1 million, okay? And we bought it for $1 million, right? He's gonna sell it for $5 million, and his tax, is gonna be around, I don't know, $1 million. Okay, so what happens is you guys line up the transaction, right? Before you close, we talk with the client and we get their risk tolerance questionnaire and everything all squared away. And then what happens is you, seller, right, sells the property to the trust. That's Capital Gains Tax Solutions. They sell it to the trust, okay? And then the trust turns around and immediately sells it to the ultimate buyer, okay? The ultimate buyer will fund the trust, whether it's cash or financing or whatever it is, right? They will fund the trust. They'll take title and they'll walk away. And then the trust is left with all the capital. They'll pay off the debt, okay? But then that money's sitting there in a pot. And then they turn around and they write you a note. And they write you a note for the $5 million, right? Or $4 million after you pay off your debt or whatever it is, right? At a preferred rate of return based upon your risk tolerance that we talked about before. And then and then we structure those notes typically in about 10 years, but they're flexible. You can do 7 or 5 or whatever. So what ends up happening is at the end of 10 years, right? You can have a couple options. You can take the money out and pay your tax and whatever. Anything that you have made interest-wise, you'll pay ordinary income tax on. Anything that you have left in there for the principal of the gain will be taxed at the capital gains rate. But you don't have to. You can just renew the note. And what's cool is because you can basically use it as like a self-directed IRA account almost. It's a business trust that only does business with you, but you can invest in any property or anything that you want, right? Most people just renew it because they're like, why am I going to bring this money back and pay the tax on it when I can just continue to invest it in whatever I want? So we had a gentleman sold a $2.6 million business. He ended up deferring about $600,000 or $700,000 in capital gains tax, turns around and puts it into a 72-unit multifamily development deal like a year and a half later. So his ability to do this to control it, he can invest in whatever he wants. It's like, so why? It also moves assets outside the taxable state. So for those people that are in that $22 million range, and you're over that, you're going to have a significant tax to the heirs at the estate tax, and it moves assets outside the taxable state for that. So it's a phenomenal estate planning tool as well. So, and you guys can learn more about that at capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. We also have a mastermind every Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. We just finished our one this morning, but it's amazing because people are coming on, they're asking questions about their deals. So if you guys are interested in that, you can also find that at capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. And I will definitely be sending you an invite